CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Evan Kenny.
Good evening. The price of oil is up sharply in the 10 days since Iran was attacked by the U.S. and Israel. While the conflict is on the other side of the world, the impact here is significant. 20% of the world's supply moves through the Strait of Hormuz, now effectively closed to commercial ships as a result of the war. Oil prices immediately jumped on word of the conflict, rising with every day of trading, peaking well over $100 a barrel in the last day or so, now just under 95. The latest Alberta budget is based on an average price of just over $60 a barrel. The explosion of oil's value has spiked the price at the pumps in Edmonton. The finance minister says high gas prices are not enough to trigger tax relief for Albertans.
We did some quick math this morning. If oil were to average, say, above 110 for the last 5 days, it could trigger the lowest level of relief. So unlikely, but not impossible.
According to legislation, tax relief at the pumps has to happen at the beginning of a financial quarter. The next one starts April 1st. There isn't enough monitoring time to trigger it. The finance minister also says there's so much volatility right now, it's important to be mindful that what goes up will come down. The volatility created by the war in Iran has pumped up the prices of oil, and it will impact more than what we're paying at the pumps. Farmers could be faced with increased costs to buy fertilizer, while grocery store owners are bracing for added manufacturing and transportation costs. CTV's Amanda Anderson reports.
The conflict in the Middle East and threats from Iran's military has cut off shipments through the Strait of Hormuz, a region that produces and ships massive amounts of oil, liquefied natural gas, and fertilizer.
We could anticipate seeing increased costs for fertilizer.
Fertilizer is one of our biggest input costs year to year, like every year. And so if we get say, for instance, if urea goes up 30% or in 1 year, that's a significant impact to our bottom line.
Kevin Bender has a farm near Bentley, Alberta. He says many farmers try to buy fertilizer and store it when there's a hint prices could go up.
We didn't know that this big spike was going to happen, but I'd say most years we see an increase in fertilizer prices coming into spring. So people will buy in the fall or through the winter and help minimize any cost increases that might occur.
Bender says farmers always find a way to manage, and it could mean planting crops that don't require the same fertilizer product. He also says rising diesel prices will have a minimal impact on his farm. At the Italian Centre shop in Edmonton, Teresa Spinelli is keeping a close eye on oil prices.
Last time this happened, when there was a boom in Alberta with the oil prices going over $100 a barrel, we noticed that our freight company started charging a surcharge for the extra gas, and then we also noticed that our suppliers started charging more, especially if they're production and they're using oil and gas.
Costs the shop tries not to pass on to customers. Spinelli says it could be weeks before she knows how oil prices will impact her costs. Supply chain consultant Brent Willett believes the impacts on consumers will be very small compared to what they faced during COVID.
COVID was also about scarcity, not just pricing. We're not going to have a scarcity issue. What we could have is cost impacts along those supply chains. So going forward, organizations, specifically those in Canada, are much more resilient than they were 6 years ago.
Amanda Anderson, CTV News, Edmonton.
Schools in Edmonton are bursting at the seams, with some holding lotteries for new students to enroll. The province says 10 new school projects for the city will help alleviate some pressure. CTV's Miriam Valdez-Carletti has more on where they'll be built and how long it will take.
This fall, the doors will open at St. Carlo Acutis Catholic High School, welcoming more than 1,300 students in Castle Downs.
The need for new schools is real and urgent. Edmonton Catholic School has grown by more than 17% in the past 5 years.
The province is looking to build other schools like this, with 10 new projects in the works for Edmonton.
Together, these Edmonton projects will create and renovate more than 8,400 student spaces.
Budget 2026 includes 8 new schools and 2 replacement schools. Edmonton Public will get 1 K-6 and 3 K-9 schools. Edmonton Catholic will get 1 K-9, 1 high school, and a replacement school. The Francophone Board will get 2 new elementary schools and a replacement school.
We're also working to speed up how school projects move forward from approval to construction. Through the Schools Now program, funding can flow as construction progresses instead of waiting for future budget cycles.
9 of the school projects are currently in the planning phase, while the public K-9 school in Stillwater is now in the design phase. The Education and Childcare Minister says the school divisions determined which projects to prioritize.
They know their school division best. They know where the particular pain points are and challenging areas are.
Challenges such as Edmonton Public needing to implement a lottery process for new students to attend some of its most in-demand schools.
There's no question these new schools will help to alleviate those pressures and potentially eliminate the need for lottery types of systems.
The province says the new schools will be open within 4 to 5 years. Site selection will be decided by the boards at a later date. Miriam Valdez-Carletti, CTV News, Edmonton.
The Alberta NDP leader introduced a motion calling for a vote of non-confidence in the UCP government.
Be it resolved that the Legislative Assembly does not have confidence in the government due to its ongoing failure to renounce separatism, which has severely damaged relations between First Nations and the government and is incompatible with respect for treaty rights.
The opposition leader put forward the motion in the legislature today. The debate was shut down by the UCP. This comes after the Assembly of Treaty Chiefs unanimously voted non-confidence for the UCP government.
We are doing something that we will not stand for any of this talk of separation. We knew that the vote wouldn't pass. We knew what we were in for when we came to this legislature. We've seen it time and time again, the disrespect that the MLAs have for our people in those rooms.
The Chiefs say Alberta's referendum question infringes on their treaty rights and that they signed treaties with the Crown, not with Alberta. The UCP government says a long-promised passenger rail master plan is coming in the next few weeks. The transportation minister says the plan is complete and he hopes to have more to say in April. He says his goal is to include proponents for a high-speed rail line between Edmonton and Calgary to connect the two cities and their airports. The rail line has been talked about for more than a decade and could take even longer to develop. The UCP government revealed its plans to create a new Crown corporation to oversee rail nearly 2 years ago, citing population growth and congested highways. The only school in Swan Hills is closed, and classes have moved online because of wind damage to the building's roof. Gusts were as high as 100 kilometers an hour in that area yesterday, northwest of Edmonton. The division's superintendent says roofing from the town's swimming pool blew off and damaged the school, which shares the same building. Classes will resume once the structural assessment and repairs can happen.
We have an engineer either there or on his way up there to actually assess the damage to the structure of the school. I do know that the large gymnasium sustained some damage and other parts of the roof membrane very close to the swimming pool roof also damaged.
The 200 students from kindergarten to grade 12 will attend online classes for now. In Edmonton, roads closed because of fallen trees, including this one at 107th Avenue and 152nd Street. Power lines also went down. EPCOR says 8,400 homes were in the dark yesterday. Power has now been restored. Throughout Alberta, Fortis reports thousands of homes lost power. 2 men have been arrested in the death of an Edmonton man who was wanted in a violent assault. 37-year-old Jordan Belhumer died in May 2024 after being shot in North Edmonton. 2 months earlier, police had issued warrants for Belhumer's arrest in connection to an assault. Police have now charged a 29 and 25-year-old with second-degree murder in Belhumer's death. A city councillor is leading the charge to allow grocery stores in more places. Most major grocers use a legal tool called restrictive covenant to limit competition near land or stores they own. The councillor says it makes food more expensive and neighborhoods less walkable. CTV's Jeremy Thompson reports.
There are plenty of stores and services in Griesbaugh Village, a daycare, restaurants, a drugstore, but in a complex surrounded by hundreds of new apartments, nowhere to buy groceries.
There's a lot of elderly people in the area, and to be able to have all those conveniences close by would mean a lot to them.
A Safeway is nearby at Northgate, but it's across two busy roads. Sobeys, which owns Safeway, once held a parcel in Griesbaugh Village. It sold the land for apartments, with the stipulation that no grocery stores can move into the complex.
Butcher shops have been told no, bakeries have been told no.
Councillor Michael Jans is trying to bring attention to the restrictive covenants grocers are using to stifle competition. He says the practice harms shoppers through higher prices and less convenience, calling them anti-democratic.
All of the major grocers have been involved in this in one form or another, and we've been meeting with them, and many of them have said they're willing to stop doing this as long as their competitors stop doing so as well.
Jans says the limitations are impacting communities across Edmonton. Sobeys did not reply to CTV's request for comment, but a spokesperson did tell Councillor Jans last month covenants are common real estate practice in all sectors in Alberta, and it's committed to contributing positively to local markets and neighborhoods. The councillor wants Alberta to follow Manitoba's lead. That province announced a crackdown on anti-competitive contracts more than a year ago.
They didn't have that much friction on this topic. Everybody kind of recognized that it's anti-competitive, and it's not one that grocery stores are eager to defend.
He'll try to convince council to send a letter to the province about it next week, but that might not be necessary. Service Alberta Minister Dale Nally tells CTV a municipal motion isn't required for us to look at this issue. Since Manitoba implemented these changes, we have been monitoring them closely to see how it could work in Alberta. The minister did not provide a timeline for changes here. Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
Water restrictions are once again now in place across Calgary. The city is asking for cooperation from residents as it conducts major repairs on the Bears Paw South Feeder main. Calgary opened a community resource center today. City staff will be there answering questions and listening to concerns. Crews are reinforcing the old water main while constructing the new one. It comes after two major water main breaks in the last 18 months. The water restrictions will last about a month. Staff say they will try to help people as much as they can. Post-secondary students across the city are celebrating Pride Week. People marched through the halls of MacEwan University. The school's Center for Sexual and Gender Diversity says universities host the week now instead of in June during Pride Month because not many students are in classes at that time. People say recognition matters.
It just feels really important to just be a part of it and to be out myself and to be letting folks know that we're here and that we're queer and that we're trans and that we're not going anywhere.
All 6 of Edmonton's post-secondaries are hosting events throughout the week. At the University of Alberta, the school's Firefly Institute held Pride celebrations. The Institute is an LGBTQ2S+ research and advocacy hub on campus. It says events like this help support the community.
We're doing the work. We have a lot of programs that support the community, and this year in particular, we have a lot of different events going on. We have our Alberta GSA conference. We have our Human Rights Forum happening in June. So we have tons of programming coming up to make sure that we're supporting the community as much as we can.
Mayor Andrew Knack proclaimed this week as the U of A Pride Week. Edmonton's Pride Festival is scheduled for late August. Coming up next, which Alberta MP could be the next leader of a federal party? Also just ahead, why polls show Alberta's federal landscape is closer than ever before.
Just because things seem to be going the right direction. No other reason. And I think a lot of Trudeau's sins have been identified and perhaps corrected.
Good evening, folks. +1 for a daytime high here in Edmonton today, and we'll be right around the freezing mark, it looks like, for the next couple of days for daytime highs. And then some of this cooler air across the north starts to drop in towards the end of the week. We'll talk more about all that in just a few minutes.
A new poll suggests Alberta's federal political landscape may be more competitive than it has been in years, with Liberal support surging in the province. But as CTV's Kevin Green reports, the results amplify the rural-urban split that is showing itself across Alberta politics.
The federal Conservatives still lead in Alberta with 51% support among committed voters, but the Liberals have risen to 36%. The Abacus data poll suggests the real political battle is in Alberta's biggest cities.
In a way, it's resembling now the kind of urban divide you see in provincial politics.
In Edmonton, approval of the federal government sits at 52%, in Calgary 45%, and in other communities in Alberta 30%. In both urban centres, more people approve of the government than disapprove of it. Calgarians we asked were not surprised.
Just because things seem to be going the right direction. No other reason. And I think a lot of Trudeau's sins have been identified and perhaps corrected.
Even staunch Conservatives say they see this shift happening.
My friend and I were just talking about this morning, saying, we can't believe how much support we're hearing about for the Liberal government, but just doesn't sit well with.
The poll also finds Albertans are divided on the current course of the federal government. 41% say they approve of how the government is handling things, while 38% disapprove.
But at this very moment, I think there are probably as many Albertans who say the problem isn't Ottawa, it's actually external forces.
Carney's handling of those external threats appears to have helped his party.
Just for stability, because Carney gives you that feeling of grounded, shall we say.
Political scientists warn against reading too much into the polls.
It's way too early to say that this is going to be some kind of seismic shift in terms of, Albertan voting patterns. I'm not even sure that it'll stick to the next election.
Boyd points out this polling data applies to an election if it were called now, which isn't going to happen, especially with 3 recently called by-elections that, if the Liberals sweep them, could give them a majority in Parliament. Kevin Green, CTV News, Calgary.
The Abacus data survey was conducted between February 20th and 25th amongst 1,000 Alberta adults. The margin of error is plus or minus 3.1 percentage points, 19 times out of 20. Dates are now set for 3 federal by-elections, which could have significant implications for the balance of power in Ottawa.
Governments typically only call by-elections when they expect they can win them. And so I have a sneaky suspicion that the Liberals are feeling optimistic about their prospects in Terrebonne.
And so it looks like Carney, knock on wood, for him, has a real chance to secure that majority, albeit literally by 1 seat.
Former Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland's seat is up for grabs in the Toronto riding of University Rosedale. Meantime, the Toronto riding of Scarborough Southwest was left open after former Liberal MP Bill Blair was appointed Canada's High Commissioner to the UK, and Quebec's Terrebonne riding will be a rematch between the Liberals and the Bloc Québécois. The seat was decided by a single vote last year, but that was later overturned by the Supreme Court. Online voting has begun in the NDP leadership race. Edmonton Strathcona MP Heather McPherson is one of 5 candidates running to replace Jagmeet Singh. The others are Rob Ashton, Tennille Johnson, Avi Lewis, and Tony McQuail. Party members can vote online or by mail. The NDP has raised its membership to 100,000 since September last year. The race ends at the leadership convention on March 29th. WestJet has been fined $70,000 for violating air passenger protection regulations. It's connected to the delay and cancellation of the Calgary to Nanaimo flight last February. The Canadian Transportation Agency says WestJet failed to provide passengers with a reasonable amount of food and drink. It also didn't offer passengers hotel accommodations or transportation to and from the airport. WestJet has until April 7th to appeal. Coming up next, creating breathtaking images using Alberta's natural beauty. How one artist used a lake as his canvas.
It's stunning because it's, as you know, sort of a miracle of a location.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Welcome back. 0, the average daytime high for this time of year. We got just slightly above that today. I think we'll be in this -10 range as we start the day tomorrow, but back to around the freezing mark in the afternoon. You get these pockets of flurries and light snow drifting through central and north central Alberta. Those will be out by tomorrow morning. Just mostly cloudy to start the day with, again, like today, some sun in the afternoon. And then we get a few flurries developing off to the west, and 1 or 2 of those could track through the Edmonton region Tuesday evening. You know, on Wednesday evening, we have a chance of flurries as well. And then Thursday, that could be the best chance this week for some accumulating snow. Watch the cooler air that drops in towards the end of the week. Still not bad tomorrow. A little bit warmer there Wednesday. I've got 1 in the forecast. Could be up to 3 degrees. We'll see how things play out. There's your cooler air settling in for Thursday, Friday, and through the weekend. And with that cooler air comes a decent chance of some snow on Thursday. -21 Fort McMurray, -15 in Grand Prairie, -14 in Red Deer tomorrow morning. We'll be around -11 in the Edmonton area. You're back to -9 for a daytime high in Fort McMurray. -6 Cold Lake, -2 or 3 for Slave Lake and Lac La Biche, 2 or 3 degrees below 0 as well into the Grand Prairie region. You move into the Whitecourt Edson areas, a degree or 2 above 0. Should be near the freezing mark in Red Deer and Jasper. And then Lloydminster, Vegreville areas, chance of some fog, especially through the first half of the day tomorrow. Here in Edmonton, clearing in the afternoon, chance of flurries in the evening. Wednesday, mixed sun and cloud, chance of flurries in the evening, highs near 0. -5 with the chance of some flurries or snow for Thursday. We'll keep an eye on that in the coming days. Still cool there through Friday, Saturday with highs somewhere in the -6 to -8 range. And then things start to warm up again early next week, and we're way above 0 by Tuesday, Wednesday. That is your forecast.
The longest standing chamber choir in the city put on a special show for International Women's Day. The Camera performed at Trinity Lutheran Church, celebrating 65 seasons next year. The choir group showcased songs about women inspired by the ones that have impacted their own lives. Some songs were about mothers, friends, and sisters. The music was composed to tell personal stories of love, growth, and connection. The choir's next performance is May 3rd. They will be collaborating with Archbishop Jordan High School and a live painter. An international artist recently made some scenic Alberta destinations his canvas. As CTV's Nicole Weisberg reports, his art has already disappeared, but it's left a lasting impression.
I could barely believe it when I stepped onto the ice. Methane bubbles layered and stacked like frozen breath.
A natural phenomenon in central Alberta made even more eye-catching. For earth artist David Popa, having Abraham Lake as a canvas is a dream.
It's stunning because it's, as you know, sort of a miracle of a location. You have the clarity, the deepness of the turquoise, unbelievable fracturing, cracks, and then, of course, these methane bubbles.
Popa spent 12 days in the Nordegg area mid-January, about a year after he was first contacted by Travel Alberta about partnering.
We're trying to do something different than just imagery, which is mountains and frozen lakes.
Different and difficult. Popa is used to creating art on ice in the Baltic Sea near his home in Finland. With this piece, he says there were moments he wasn't sure he could pull it off.
It was like 0 to 3 degrees. So it was either like windy and then my chalk or charcoal would freeze on the surface, then it would warm up because of the sun.
Popa also attempting a 2-day project in a location where the wind could easily sweep away his entire first day of work. Instead,
to be able to just pull off this piece in a perfect weather window with the sunset, like this can't be happening.
Popa's second piece in the region, in Klein Creek Canyon, lasted just 1 day. He uses only natural materials. Popa returned to Abraham Lake for the third, working from sunrise to sunset at about -15 degrees to finish.
These are the kind of adventures I live for.
The golden color between the faces inspired and sourced from a Nordegg pigment artist whose studio Popa visited just a few days prior.
It's not only the place, but it's also the people.
Travel Alberta's Instagram post about Popa's pieces is its top video with over 4 million views, helping accomplish its goal of exposing the province's lesser-known destinations to more of the world. Nicole Weisberg, CTV News, Edmonton.
Incredible work and incredibly cool that that's done on a lake. That's all the time we have tonight. Thank you for tuning in and have a good rest of your night.